Hello everyone, if you're new here, welcome to my channel, and if not, then welcome back to another one of my videos. It has been a hot minute since I filmed last. I think it was literally December 31st that I last filmed, and so it was hard as fuck to get here and sit down and actually film. Like, I'm not in the filming space. It just hasn't been a priority for me because I told myself I would take a break for my birthday and because of like all the Vlogmas that I had done. So yeah, it took a bit to get me in this chair, but I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I also took that break, but like I just need to get back in the swing of things because I know I will love it. I just don't love being like the first one back and being like, what do I say? I say all that, but I'll literally be back to my normal filming self in like 3 minutes. So, you know, I recently took down all of my holiday decorations and it's feeling bare as fuck. I genuinely don't know where to go next with this like decoration behind me. I was gifted this really large pothos plant by my godmother and I love it, so it's definitely gonna be like the front because it feels like a cascading, like, I don't know, green waterfall, I don't know. And I also got a bunch of new books, so keep an eye out for a haul coming soon. My shelves are still looking empty, but I promise there's books there. You just see like the main part where there's no books. So yeah, this will probably change shortly. I'm not too happy with it, but at least we got the Christmas out of here because I was getting a little tired of all those Christmas decorations I had. So anyway, welcome to today's video. I did a bunch of like year-end wrap-up videos, but there's two that I wanted to do in the new year. That's because last year, which was the first year on this channel, 2022, I started this channel in like December of 2021. So January of last year was really the time that I like got to do the content that I was really excited to do. And two of the first videos that I did were favorite standalones of 2021 and favorite series of 2021. So I was like, I've literally done so many wrap-up videos and it's getting kind of old, but for the sake of tradition, I needed to do this. I'm definitely one for tradition, so it needed to happen and I needed to do it in January because that's what I did last year. So for the sake of tradition, here I am to tell you guys about my favorite standalones of 2022. But I'm not gonna do top 10 anymore. So if you've ever wanted a video of like my top favorite books of all time, then this is as close as you're getting, okay? I had a few questions before, like, would you ever do your favorite books of all time? And I'm like, fuck no, because I would literally change my mind like 2 weeks later. And that's just how it will go, like every time. Like last November, I was like, these are my favorite books. Now I look at them and I'm like, girl, you was lying. But at the same time, I was not lying because at that time, those were my favorite books, but now they're not. I feel like I can never do an all-time top favorite books video because I just know that'll change so frequently. So anyway, this is the closest you're gonna get. It's a top favorite standalones of 2022. So these are definitely all of my top favorites, like, of all time list. I feel like this was a great year for reading and it was one of the years that I like love most in my reading experience, so this is as close as you're getting for a favorites of all time. Anyway, before we get into the video, thank you guys so much for watching. A little bit about my content coming up. I have a book haul coming, I have a bookshelf tour coming, a favorite series of 2022, and then I'm gonna get past the last year's content and we're gonna go in more to recommendations, wrap-ups, and TBRs and stuff like that. Also, I didn't do a TBR for this month. I was gonna do like a really big like, oh, birthday TBR month, but then I was just like trying to film the video and it did not work and I was just like, I don't want to fucking do this, so I didn't do it. Sorry if you love the TBRs that I do every month, but I'll be back in February. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It's very appreciated. And let's get into my favorite standalones of 2022. Okay, the first two I have are actually both by the same author, and we're gonna go with my favorite one. They're very, very close. Like, sometimes I could not tell you which one is my favorite. It really depends on the day, but my favorite one right now is Swan Song by C. Lamari. So this book I read at the beginning of last January, and I knew when I was reading it, I was like, I'm gonna be talking about this in my year-end like wrap-up, and I'm gonna be saying this is a favorite. And I wasn't lying because this is still a favorite. And I need to fucking reread this so bad because it's been a year since I've read it. Like, I need to reread it. It was so good. So this is a dark romance and it follows Nico and Ophelia, and it's a dark taboo age gap romance. So he is her like guardian. So there's the guardian ward trope in here, that's why it's forbidden. And he is like also 20 years older than her. Now maybe he's like 15 years older. I can't really remember. He's obviously not her blood father, but he like adopted her kind of because she's had so much shit go on in her life, and he's just like, I think you need somewhere safe, and even though I'm not like the best candidate for that, I can give that to you. So he does. He definitely protects her. That is true. He owns this, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a circus and like a traveling show that's like kind of like a carnival, but it's like dark. So think like Midnight Mayhem series by Emma Jones, kind of like that kind of vibe. They're very, very different, but that kind of vibe of like the traveling circus thing. It's also a traveling ballet. So she is a ballet dancer. I don't know if you could tell. So as much as he is now her guardian, she also like works in his traveling ballet. So yeah, enough about like the setup of this. He's obviously her guardian. So like there's some lines that are slowly crossed, and there's also like so many parts to this book. Like you think you know what's going on, but you don't. But I don't know, the tension in this was so fucking good. And I think what also made this book so good was Nico, because he was so fucking hot, but also like the way that he handled Ophelia, not really like handled, but like the way he was with her, like I loved it. It was so good. It's really smutty to me because like everything that the smut was. I don't know, I've said this before, but like there's a difference between smutty, spicy, and steamy to me. This was smutty. So smutty, and I loved it so much. It has a very ominous like blurb about it, but I swear to God, you need to read this, okay? I feel like there's no way that you won't enjoy this book unless you don't like dark romances or taboo romances. I feel like that's the only way you won't like this. But for my dark romance lovers out here, y'all need to read this shit, okay? I haven't said it enough. You need to read it. But if you're looking for a bit of a lighter one, I think you should try Falcon's Prey by C. Lamari. This is also another favorite of the year. And like I said, these two are so close together. Like Swan Song was either a 5-star read or a 4.75 star read, and Falcon's Prey was either 4.5 or 4.75. So I'm not too sure, but they're so close is what I'm trying to say, guys. They're just really different though, and so it's really hard to like say which one is better, because this one is more of a forbidden romance. It's a bodyguard romance, and it follows a rich diamond heiress and her bodyguard who is like grumpy, grouchy, and morally gray. So like, what else do you need? This one also super smutty. Like I feel like these books are just written so well in the way that you can digest them easily, but they're also like super intriguing and like capturing. They definitely capture you. That's a great word. Guys, it is so fucking good. Especially in here, the way that the heroine is like a bit of a bitch. I love that. If you guys love a bad girl, good guy trope, it's not necessarily good guy because he's definitely fucking morally gray, okay? But she's a bitch and he is nicer. And so I love it. But they're both morally gray, and he's a bit more morally gray than her, but at least he's like more respectful. Okay, another one, I read this one back in spooky season, The Isle of Sin and Shadows by Carrie Lake. I was not expecting to love this as much as I did. Like if you guys go back and watch my October TBR, I think it was, you'll hear me say like, I'm a little nervous to read this, guys, because there's so many mixed reviews about this. So many people are like, this is the best book I've ever read, and others are like, this is literally the worst shit I've ever read. And so like I was so nervous to go into it. I was really hesitant, and I was like, I have 2 books on my TBR from Carrie Lake. I'm gonna read one, and if I like it, then I'll read the other. But if I don't like it, then I'm not reading the other. So I put them both on there, but I read this one first, and oh my fucking God, it gave everything I wanted. The way that this has like the creepy ghost stories of the South, the like tension between the 2 characters, the like mystery and suspense plot in here, but also like the smut and the tension and the like, yeah, chemistry between them. Oh my God, it was impeccable. I like never say that word, but yeah, it was so good. It was so mysterious, and the hero is so mysterious too. Like there's no other way to say it. He's morally gray and he's mysterious. I fucking loved it. The heroine too, I loved her. I love the dynamic between them. I love the like banter and everything about this book. I loved. Like there's not anything in here that I could say that is like something I hated. Like it starts off a bit slow, but once you get past that, like I fucking loved it. And this is probably, debatably, my favorite standalone of 2022. Debatably. If you ask me if I said that, I will say maybe, maybe not. We're really switching like tropes here, but Does It Hurt by H.D. Carlton is my next one. So this one, it's definitely like a different vibe from The Isle of Sin and Shadows. This is more like summery, but also really mysterious, weirdly. I have a thing for those mysterious books, okay? The mysterious heroes that are morally gray do it for me every time, but also the mysterious like vibes. There's like things going on, and like nobody knows why they're going on, and like the little added mystery in it, it just adds so fucking much to a book. For me, that will literally make me read a book. Like if you say it's dark romance, like I'll read it, bitch. I'll put it on my TBR that instant, because I feel like that just adds so much to a book, and it definitely didn't here. This one, it's a grumpy sunshine romance. And when I first read the blurb about this, I was like, H.D. Carlton, girl, I love you, number one, but I'm a little hesitant because grumpy sunshine, they just are annoying to me. You could call me a grump if you want, but sunshine characters annoy the fuck out of me. So I was a little bit like, I might not like this. I was fucking wrong. I was so wrong. I had so much fun reading this, and the second I was done reading it, I ordered it. I pulled up Amazon, I ordered it, and it got here in 3 days, and now I have it on my shelf, and I'm so happy happy because it's also really beautiful. The dedication in this says, "To baby shark, step aside, daddy shark is here now." And I just feel like that's so true because Enzo, the hero in this one, he's a like marine biologist, but he's got like a gray personality, and he's morally gray, so like, yeah, loved him. Next up is another Carrie-like book. Seems like there's just all the authors with 2 books in here. So anyway, Master of Salt and Bones, not as good as Island Sin of Shadows in my opinion, but that being said, I still had a lot of fun with this one. It's a bit more of an age gap romance. It's like forced proximity kind of workplace romance, and it still has that added mystery, which I feel like Carrie-like does so fucking well. Like, I feel like I haven't read a book as mysterious as the Island Sin of Shadows and Master of Salt and Bones, and like I said, guys, it does it for me every time. There's just something about that added mystery that it makes it so good. And like I said, this one is not as good as Island Sin of Shadows, and I should have talked about this one first because then I could have like highlighted the good things about it, but now all I can think about is how like it's not as good as the Island Sin of Shadows. But that being said, I really liked the characters in this one. They had so much chemistry, and the forced proximity of it and like the workplace romance, so good. And the way that he is like rich and took care of her problems, I was like, yes, I love it. Other than that, I don't know, it was just one good ass book. I had so much fun reading it. Next up is The Devil of Dublin by B.B. Easton. Okay, I almost forgot her name there for a minute. This one is a bit lighter in the way that like everything the characters go through is really dark, but the world that the characters live in is pretty light. If that makes sense, I don't really think it does, but that's how I viewed this book. So regardless, I loved it. It was so amazing, and it was really heartfelt, and it had the friends to lovers that I love. Like, I am a hoe for friends to lovers. I love friends to lovers so much. I especially love when it's a dark friends to lovers. I'll eat that up every single time. Like, if I see dark romance friends to lovers tropes, I'll be like, oh, on my TBR, and that's what happened with this one. I heard someone say it was friends to lovers, and I was like, oh, okay, say less. I also heard someone say that it was mafia, so I put it on my TBR, and I really enjoyed it. It was, yeah, like all around just a really good book. It was really solid, and yeah, there's not much more I can say about this. I feel like it's very heartfelt, but at the same time, like a very intriguing romance, and it was pretty fast-paced, and I love the characters in it, and yeah, it was just such a good book. Alright everyone, that is the end of today's list. I have an honorable mention, which is Forget Me Not by QB Tyler. I know I love that book, but it's not really like on my mind all the time. Like, these books, I love them so much and I think about them so often, but Forget Me Not, I feel like I don't as much, so I feel like that's just gonna be an honorable mention for now. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm very glad I kept the tradition going. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, stick around, maybe even till next year when I do this for the 3rd time. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video very soon.